In terms of doing a statement of purpose for a PhD program, well, this will work for a graduate program as well. Doesn't matter what it is. If you're doing a master's and they're requiring a statement of purpose, this will work just perfectly fine for you. And these are things that I personally do, or what I personally did. I didn't do it that good when I was actually doing my PhD statement of purpose, but I did them okay. But now that I am on the other side and I can see different applications and things that sort of attract me to different people, in terms of when they're applying to our programs, where the institution that I'm at, I think these matter a lot more than what most people sort of give them credit for. There's lots of different resources on the internet right now. Go check those out. Make sure you do have sort of a basic understanding of what a statement of purpose is. Not going to do any of that kind of stuff in this video. What I'm going to focus on is things that matter to me as a person that's going to evaluate and look at different statement of purposes and say, oh, you know what, that person's really cool. I'm going to give them a shout out and see if we can give them an interview or something like that. Just basically that's really what it is thinking about, from my perspective, what's going to attract me to somebody that is going to do research at, with me or at my institution or wherever, something that is going to stand out. Nobody does this, by the way. Very few people do these tips, and that's what makes them stand out. The people that actually do that, then I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, they're cool. Because you get hundreds of different applications, and most of them are, yeah. That's all I'm going to say. Most of them are, yeah. Okay, so what I would do is focus on the. So first of all, when you're doing a statement of purpose, when you're doing it for any graduate program, the focus is not you. So you might be thinking they might say, do something that's personally about you. The focus is actually on the people that you're applying to, right? So you should be thinking about the research that they are currently doing, right? So if you've read all of my research, or if you read all of my colleagues' research at the particular school, and you talk about how cool that research is, and that you want to do something along those lines, so maybe doing something on institutions, for example, or doing something on learning, or whatever it is that you sort of looked up, my profile and thought that this was really cool. I'm going to learn some of this kind of stuff, and I'm going to apply directly to that. And I'm going to talk about my love of doing these things that of interest to the person that you're reading it, that's reading it. Then that's going to shine, right? Like, because it's really flattering that you've actually read my stuff and you've gone through and you could sort of speak directly to me and say about what's really cool with my papers, and maybe even what can be improved or what you would like to do to improve on that. That's automatically, by doing that, just simply that one little tiny thing, you're about 5% of everybody else, right? So everybody else is going to be talking about themselves, so how wonderful they are. No, the name of the game is talking about how wonderful the people that you're applying to are, and the research that they've done, that you've actually communicated, that you've read what they've done, and think about how cool it is and why you'd like to do that kind of stuff. Automatically, you're at the 5% of all the people that have applied in that particular program, and you're much, much, much better off. And then the other thing that you should be doing is focusing on what makes somebody research productive. Sorry, I have an itchy nose. Weird, eh? My mom used to always say, when you get an itchy nose, that you kiss a fool. You're going to kiss a fool today. I don't know what's going to happen. Might be a crazy day. Okay, so you focus on the skill sets that you have that I can actually improve the productivity of this school or institution that you're going to. And that's really what you're thinking about. So it might be that research program is really sort of quantitative heavy that you're applying to. Well, then point out that you are really good at doing, matching data sets and stuff like that, and combining different data sets. You've worked with them, and that you can actually help out their research program substantially because you've worked on these different data sets, and you realize that we can actually improve their productivity that much more by assembling these different data sets for you. And these kind of skills, right? Like that. And notice the focus is always on them and improving their productivity, right? The third thing, and this is really, it's going to bump you up even more, is try to point out different relationships that you have with the people that you are applying to, or maybe that you have, maybe it's 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, right? That video where you connect different people, or that game where you connect different people and you end up sort of meeting Kevin Bacon in the long run. That's what you should be doing, is saying that, well, I know this person who has this relationship with this person at this particular school. If you do that, then automatically, you're light years ahead. So when I see people that I know who those people are on the statement of purpose, and they're saying like, oh, so and so, I know, so after working with so and so, and they have told me about your research program at your school, I'm very excited to apply to this particular research program. I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, I know so and so. They're a great person. They've done great things. I'm going to look at their application and take it a lot more seriously than if somebody just sort of does the blanket email, blanket statement of purpose. And because I know that I might even call them up and say, once they get sort of past the first hurdle or first couple of hurdles, I might just call them up and say, what do you think of this person? Are they great? And if that's the case, you are in, right? Like, that's great. That's fantastic for you when that happens. So you want to really point it out. It's just like jobs, right? Every job that you've ever applied to, or vast majority of the people, it's been relational, how you get your jobs, right? Very few people get their jobs through kind of these blanket sort of things, and they get it through relations, and who knows who, and whether they know that particular person. And it truly does work. It really does work. And in fact, as you go along with this career and you become more and more, maybe it's an academic professor like myself, then you actually do have to point out the relationships that you actually have, and they have to vouch for you. Eventually, that's how you get tenure, by the way, if you didn't know that. All right. So the other thing is, what you want to do is focus on trying to be as helpful as you possibly can in your application, and really remove any sort of ego that you have. So if you're pointing out how amazing you are, and that you are, you're a CEO of so and so, or you are the, lead, blah blah blah. Nobody cares, right? Like, really, what they care about is whether you're going to help them and make them improve somehow, right? So you're focusing on their productivity, helping them, making them improve. We're going to see that on your Vita, or your resume, that you actually did do all these wonderful things, and that it's there, right? But you don't have to point that stuff out. We already know that kind of stuff, and we want to see whether you are going to be a nice person, and whether you're going to be helpful for the research team, right? That you're working with. And I think the fifth thing is, a lot of people really just want to focus on all the different things that they do wonderfully, and you forget about, you're human beings. Being a human being, you have weaknesses, and sort of things that you have to deal with as well. And don't be afraid to sort of point that out, and maybe what you would do in terms of improving that. So maybe you're not so good at quantitative stuff. Well, then you'd love to enjoy to take some courses. You've noticed at their institution that they have these great courses that are really valuable, and that could strengthen this weakness that I have in this particular area, because of these courses that are taught by so and so. Really research this. This is amazing stuff, and that's going to help me out tremendously in terms of my research productivity for you. And then the other thing is to, sometimes you don't want to work on those weaknesses, right? So you'd point out, I'm not really all that good at sort of quantitative stuff, but I'm an amazing writer, and I've done a lot of work in this area that's in terms of writing, and I want to focus on that and develop this particular skill. And if this is the kind of person that you need, that's going to focus on sort of writing or developing theory, then this is the person I'm the person for you. And if we're looking for somebody like that, then we're going to call you up, right? You have to be real as a human being, and that's going to benefit you tremendously going forward. So hopefully these tips will help you. It's going to make your application that much more better. Honestly, if you just do these kind, especially if you just focus on the research of somebody else, on their research, and you think how cool that is, rather than talking about yourself, you are going to be light years ahead, and try to focus on how you can make them productive and make them cool. going that's you're going to be light years. Honestly, just do that and talk about the relationships that you have with who referred you to these different things. And you can ask them, if you don't have a direct relationship right now, just ask somebody, do you know somebody that's at the school? Can I apply? Can I use your name in my application? Just do that. That's cool. Nobody's going to argue with that. So hopefully this helps with your application. I hope it does. And good luck with it. I know that you're going to do well. All right. So take care and have a wonderful day. Oh, by the way, give me a thumbs up and do like this